Hey guys, welcome to the stream. Let me just finish setting up a couple things here and we will be ready to go. So I realized that during our last stream somehow my levels on my microphone had been turned down to like 80%. So that's why there was like some garbage going on between the audio there. Hopefully it's fixed now. If anybody pops in here real early, let me know how the audio is sounding. But yeah, we're gonna get started here in just a moment. And if I can get the Cintiq to stay, I think we'll be good. So if you've been following along with the past few live streams, we have been working on our Dragon Boy here. Been doing a little bit of a bust, kind of like a chess piece almost. And in our last stream, we kind of finished this up and started setting it up for 3D printing, which was a lot of fun. And I actually have that file now uploaded over on Shapeways, so I wanted to pull that up here real quick. Let's see. Crap, wrong browser. So the reason I didn't upload this during our last stream is it always takes forever to upload. But now we have this in here, uploaded, ready to go. But I have this set up in the 3D print check system that they have online there. And you can see that we're getting this little warning over here. So this is the problem that I said would most likely happen. And I said we'll just ignore it for now. And just so we could go through the entire process of like hollowing out our model and everything else. But the thickness that we have for the rest of this figure, if we go back in here to ZBrush, I don't have it. I don't have it currently. But we have a thickness applied on here. But you can see that we're getting these little warnings around the... Whoops, come on back, please. Let me try that again. Your navigation's a little bit different in here. You have to use Control to pan, I think. Yeah. So we're getting these little errors around the teeth and around the fin on the back there. Just these little areas that are saying, hey, it's a little thin. It will probably fail through this area. So these are some places where, even up in the mouth in there, we'd want to upload this as a quick test just to figure out where we need to make some changes. Anything that tapers into a point, you'll notice that I'm not getting like a warning up here on the nose. Tapering is totally fine. It's just that when it gets to a place where it's too narrow for too long, essentially this is going to give you a pretty large warning and say, hey, we're gonna have some problems here. It looks like maybe down here it's giving us some potential warnings, some yellows and some red as well. I would probably be okay with that area. I wouldn't be too concerned about it. And it's also displaying this in a lower resolution than what this actually is, I think. Yeah, it is. So you can, I think if I remember right, there might be an automatic operation that you can do to affect this. We could also scale it up to help fix some of those errors, but I'm not going to do that. I just wanted to show you guys this so you could understand the process and see what I was talking about yesterday when I was mentioning all the errors with the thickness there. But yeah, we'll probably pull that back up a little bit later once we have some more people in here. But we're going to go back into ZBrush, pull this monitor back up, and get back into it. Not on our dragon, though. We're going to be shifting, moving around to a sphere. Make Polymesh 3D. And let's see here. Alright. So, what are we going to be doing today? We're going to be sculpting something new. I want to sculpt... What's going on, Matthew? Uploading it to sell? No, definitely not. We uploaded this to show where we were getting some printing errors, but no. If anything, I might order a print for myself, just because I think I got it down to, I think it was around like $18 or so, 18 US. So that's pretty good. It'd be fun to get one for my desk. It'd be pretty tiny though. We'll see. All right, where were we? Yes, what are we working on today? Grab my folder here. I wanted to sculpt, let's see. I wanted to start sculpting some kind of, I think it's cervidae, something from the deer family essentially. And then I was just like looking around on Pinterest and this guy popped up. Whoop, I'm being really laggy. Also, all my reference images are incredibly low resolution. I found a couple that were a little bit higher. But yeah, this is the Great Prince from Bambi. It's essentially just Bambi's dad. Looks like maybe there's something weird going on there with his nose. But yeah, I wanted to start on this guy. I got a few other images of him. These are kind of weird, but some of these are a little bit better. I don't actually know what this is from because that's a Belle, right, from the Beauty and the Beast. So I don't know what's going on there. This one's a little bit nicer res. So maybe we will import this into ZBrush. Probably this one. Let me see. I think I got a few other images here. But yeah, that's probably the highest resolution. So I'm going to import this. And that's just a JPEG. So we're going to have that nasty white background there. Well, that's okay. We'll make this work. Great Prince, references. Alright. And close up Lightbox and get this ready to go. So, if you do want to get rid of the background on a reference image that you're importing with Spotlight, by the way, to import an image like this, just import your image in your texture palette and then click on the Add to Spotlight button, and then you can move your image all around your canvas here. There are also like what's it called, like Pure Ref or something, where you can import your images and just have them floating around on your monitor. I don't really like that. I just like having it directly here in ZBrush, and then I can use ZBrush hotkeys and everything else to toggle stuff on and off. But yeah, let's get in here on this guy, and I guess just start with the really low res block out. And to do that, I'm just gonna use some primitive meshes, probably even lower res than that. Let's keep these really low res. So what I like to do when I'm blocking out, whether it's a face or, you know, a deer, a buck, I just like to drop down the resolution really low. It can be with Dynamesh, it can be with ZRemesher, it doesn't really matter. Your main objective here, though, during this stage is to keep everything at a low enough resolution to where you're not getting ahead of yourself and focusing on things that you shouldn't be at this stage. So let's start here. I just want to start getting geometry in place. We can start doing some other stuff. To scale this up, it's not working too well. Let's just try our normal scale here. So again, right now I just have that Dynamesh really low, but like I said, if you want to use ZRemesh or, you know, whatever else, totally possible. I just prefer using at least a little bit of Dynamesh in the beginning, just because it's quick, and as you're pulling out geometry, stuff tends to get really, really stretched here, and then it's nice to have Dynamesh where you can just hit that a few times and go from there. Let's just continue to block in the legs here and get everything in there just so we have, even though it's not correct, we want that geometry in there. Let's insert, let's see, cylinder, yes please. Big old derpy legs with a big old derpy bod. At least we're consistent here. Alright, let's see. I wanted to see if I had more of a profile view of this guy. So let's maybe think, I'm gonna actually just keep that one off screen. I don't want to have a ton of references here in my spotlight. So what I'm seeing from the profile, I'll just pull this over real quick. We pretty much, coming from the back, this is what I start to do when I'm in this really early stage of blocking out. It's great that we have multiple views. Sometimes we don't, if you've been following along with a lot of the other streams. So we got this little flat back here going into a curve, and it's pretty much just a 1-2, like, it looks like maybe the angle's a little bit different from the front here. His pose is a little bit different, but I think this is what we're gonna be aiming for here from the side, with maybe a little bit more lean in the neck. We'll play with that as we get there. So we want that flat back here into the angled portion, into essentially just a straight up on the neck, and the head as well. The head's gonna need to be shaped up a little bit better than what we got right now. Kind of rough, right? Just a sphere that I stretched out. That's okay though. And then for the top portion of the neck, we're gonna have that like taper in, I think. Flow out towards the bottom, connect towards the top, and then have like a little bit of, I think this is more connecting up through here, and then just having a little bit of extra fur hanging down. Let's see. And I want to try to get that angle a little bit closer to what I want there. I'm just going to duplicate these cylinders back real quick, and we'll worry about shaping these up for the actual like thigh meat and everything else up here. Let's see. And I'm going to not block in his antlers yet, because the position of his head is going to continue to change. So let's hold off on that for a little bit. And let's start to widen this guy out and taper him a little bit more as he goes back. And I am not working with perspective right now. Typically in this blockout stage, I like to keep things, whoops, a little bit more. We'll just remesh that. It's being weird with Dynamesh. I like to have the ability to look at these shapes from my orthographics just to see how my silhouette is shaping up here. This can be very helpful for me. Let's see. Again, it's a really good idea to stay at this really low resolution. I can hit D to do a dynamic subdiv, and it's essentially like a smoothing group in Maya. It shows you what that would look like if it were to be smoothed. It can be nice to do that sometimes. Let's see, I think from the bottom, the basic shape that we want is a little bit kind of hourglassy. And then once we get back to where our legs will be, what I'll do is just insert some spheres back there for the front and the back. But let's do this back one first. We'll use this to start creating our thigh shape back here. And this will be blending in up there. And quadruped legs are always a little crazy. Let's see. Just continue to insert some spheres here. And hip hop bebop, what's going on? How do I want to do this? I'll mess with scale of those legs in a little bit, but I'm thinking every image that I can find of this guy, it looks like his front legs are pretty much always just straight up and down. Except for this one, and this pose looks really awkward. That one looks a lot better. Alright, that's a little bit of a nicer reference. Oh, that's the same pose, just rendered a little bit better. Also, these are the same image. Delete that real quick. Let's see. Give me a front leg. Alright. All good in the hip hop hood. Once we get some more people in here, I'll talk more about our 3D print from our last stream, because I was able to upload that, and I'll show you guys some of those errors that we got that I was talking about. Let's see. Duplicate, please. The reason I've done a duplication here is because I want to taper this shape. I don't necessarily need to do it the way I did it, but it's just gonna make more sense to me. So I have this taper coming down, and again a little bit of this kind of like hourglass shape, thinnest point of his legs being around that first joint there. Let's Dynamesh that. Pretty nasty up there, but that's okay. I don't know what they got going on back here with these extra little shadowed forms. Very, looks like he's almost a camel or something. I don't know. Don't know what they were thinking when they did that. Let's continue to getting a little bit too focused in on one area for that body. Try to jump around a little bit more. Based on a lot of the other references that I'm seeing, I could maybe pull that edge down a little bit faster. Make him a little bit more slender. Starting to feel a little bit better from the front there on the body. Let's jump around up here. Try to get some kind of nice silhouette shape going on. This is an interesting, I might have to do this little piece here separate and just do a neck underneath this so that I can make a little bit more sense of what I'm doing. Probably doing a little bit too much up here right now, but I don't know. I like to get some of the stuff on my face figured out early on, even though it's really not necessary. A lot of my brushes are kind of screwed up right now. I'm going to restart ZBrush in a little bit. Some of my basic settings. Trying to change this plane up here. It's not working out the way I want it to. Whew. Alright, we're getting there. Man, I feel bad for traditional sculptors that this blocking out phase takes them, you know, I don't know, 5-10 times as long. So many tools that we can use to just slap geometry together and start blocking out stuff really quick. But in traditional clay, you're just like building your armature. Like, by this point, I feel like a traditional sculptor wouldn't even have an armature to speak of. Like, that would be worth using. I haven't really done a lot of digital or traditional sculpting myself. I have some monster clay, but most of the time I start playing around with it and then I'm like, man, I could do this like 100 times faster in ZBrush, and then I go do it in ZBrush. So I have a lot of respect for people with the passion and patience for traditional sculpting. I'd like to try sculpting with wax at some point. I think that would be a lot of fun. Trying to get some of these planes correct over here. Just getting some of this to transition isn't super easy. There we go. Still keeping this a little rough right now. We will not be Z-remeshing this for a little bit. Keep this rough as long as we can so we don't get too far ahead of ourselves. Alright, let's see. Make sure our volumes are reading from our additional angles here. Let's pull back a little bit more on this head. Play with that in a second. Stay away from the head for a little bit. I think there's maybe just a little bit too much curve going on up here. Let's see here. Let's take a look at some of these. So, the basic thing that I was looking for in the silhouette was a little bit more of that curve from the side view. At least in this one, it's really straight. Some more of these. It's a little bit more curved. Just looking for how that's transitioning from the basic head shape down onto the neck floof that we got going on here. Kind of like this one a lot. I'll try to use this. I think we could maybe stand to get some more volume in here. Try to do that and fix my image over here. let's get back into it. Try to fix this up. I think I'm gonna carry this shape all the way through. Back here, just to pull this edge out so that rounds out a little bit more as that blends in there. And then maybe we can subtract that piece from it a lot further down the road. We won't think about it too much right now because it won't matter. Start to lose some of that volume in the body. Alright. A lot of complex transitional shapes going on here. I'm gonna do some quick geometry for some ears. Just gonna make sure we got placement correct there. And this will also help us figure out the shape of the head that we want. I've done ears like this a few times. These ones are, they have like this, before this little kind of leaf-shaped opening, they have like this cylindrical buildup. I'll try to do that too. Just try to get the basic shape here. And position, I guess. Kind of looks like a taper. Alright, so how are we gonna do this? Probably just pull out and just Dynamesh this, and then build up around that shape, just to make sure that we're getting the appropriate volumes. Let's see. Alright. Slowly but surely we will get this shape. I don't want to rush this for sure. That's how we end up creating just headaches for ourselves later and end up probably just giving us more work. Trying to, like, I've mentioned this many times while sculpting, but if you're new here, this earlier stage is probably the most difficult part of the entire sculpture process. Figuring out your most basic forms, proportions, all that stuff takes the most amount of brain power, or at least for me it does. So if I'm being quiet, it's because I'm trying to focus here. And I'm not great at talking and sculpting at the same time as is. We'll continue to shape this up though and get it a little bit closer to what we want. There's a very interesting shape going on here in the ear, and I'm trying to get that to be a little bit more accurate to what I'm seeing in some of our images. It's a little bit tough here. Just pull in or fix our... Yeah, I kind of need to restart ZBrush. A lot of these brushes are wacky from working on our dragon. If you are new here and have not seen the dragon yet, this is what we were working on yesterday and for the past few streams. During our last stream, towards the end there, we set this up for 3D printing. And I'll actually pull up a model here in a little bit in Shapeways so we can take a look at that and go from there so you guys can see some of the printing errors that I was mentioning. I'll do that in just a moment here once I'm done playing around with these ears. Like I said, very, very interesting shape. I should probably do this with an additional mesh just to make this easier on myself, but who cares? Try to do that quick. Still needs to be more thin up here. Kind of looking at a little bit of the silhouette there, but I don't know. Whoa. I'm using an extremely low resolution here, so my smooth brush is just like freaking out. I have to be really, really careful with that. It's very sensitive. It's really easy for you to like destroy an entire shape in seconds. I tend to just use the smooth brush at this stage for essentially deflating a mesh in certain areas. So instead of using like a trim dynamic brush in certain areas, sometimes it's a little bit nicer if I want to make this a little bit more thin through here. I can just smooth it up and kind of pull in along that shape. It's working pretty well. Continue to do that. And let's see. We'll play around a little bit more here on our ears. And let's change some angles here. And like I said, these are going to help us figure out some changes that are going to have to happen here in our head. Our head's really rough right now, which is fine. We just kind of want some additional form at this stage. We'll start getting this a lot closer later. We want to kind of keep everything at the same level here, and we need to go back through and do some more stuff on our body and our legs, obviously. They're just like pulled down spheres right now. They look like garbage. That's really the main, everything looks like garbage until it doesn't, especially when you're sculpting. But just being comfortable with your garbage and going from there, really important. Gotta be comfortable with the bad looking stuff. Doesn't start looking good right away. Gotta focus on the block out. Alright. I will maybe scale these up a little bit, move them back, and probably pull in a little bit more on some of that later. But let's wait to do that. I want to show you guys some stuff here with our dragon. Again, if you've been following along with our little dragon boy here, for the past few streams, we've been just getting this to a little bit more of a finished look. The original concept is by Taylor Fisher over on ArtStation. You should definitely go check out some of their work. But the original concept doesn't look exactly like this. We took some creative liberties about 2 or 3 streams ago where we started curving this and forming it into basically a bust or a chess piece, or something that could stand on its own and you could have displayed. But it turned out pretty well, in my opinion. We could do a lot more, I think, along the texturing areas for the skin, and I think we could do a lot more texturing in the scales and some of the more hard surface areas. But for now, I'm happy with it, and we're probably not going to do too much more on this. But I wanted to show you guys. I uploaded this over on Shapeways, and I told you that we would probably end up having a lot of errors in our teeth and possibly in our fin back here, where some of this gets a little bit more thin. Depending on what material you're trying to print with, there's going to be different different minimum thicknesses that you can use. So you see this little warning sign over here. If we click on that, we can see that our minimum supported wall thickness is 0.7 meters. That's actually really thin. That's great. Like, the fact that we can go that low is amazing. I looked this up earlier, and I thought it said 7 millimeters, which would be pretty thick for something like this. But for this material, this is just their, I think one of their basic plastic materials. I can't remember which one it is. I can look real quick, but the main thing is uploading a test of your print at some point during the process. And we can see that our teeth and some other areas in our mouth here have some warning signs saying that, hey, this will probably fail during the printing process and snap off. So we'd probably want to do some stuff to thicken up the teeth, which I think we could use some inflation around there, get that a little bit thicker. Stuff that tapers, shapes that taper, aren't normally too terrible, but if they're too thin for too long along the length of that shape, it'll cause a lot of issues. We got some warnings down here where it gets a little bit thin as well. I wouldn't be too concerned about that. I think that'll print just fine. But up here in the fin, we'd probably want to thicken up a lot of that area as well. So if we wanted to do some of these changes, again, some of the quick stuff that we could do for the teeth would probably be to run some kind of deformation inflate on these, or use a move brush with back face masking and manually go through on some of these teeth and just start finding ways that you can thicken them up and get them to a little bit of a better place. And you can sit here and measure these manually if you want to create a cube or some kind of shape that's 0.7 millimeters in diameter, and just have that in there so that you can put it and align it along some of these places. 0.7 millimeters, I don't know what that translates to in inches. 3 is 0.12, so I don't know. That would be like 0.03, like 0.04. What would that be? 0.7 millimeters to inches. 0.03, yeah, around 0.03 inches. So that's pretty, that's pretty dang thin. So they're pretty lenient with what you can do here, but we're just getting a little bit too thin at this scale. Another way you can fix this is I could just scale this whole model up, but that's going to make the printing a lot more expensive. So yeah, this is their strong and flexible plastic. It's, like I said, pretty small minimum thickness. I believe that this is, I don't think it's SLA. I'm not positive. I would guess that they use FDM or SLS. I'm really not sure. I don't know if it says here. Laser by, so it's SLS. Nylon powder would be SLS. It is sintering. SLS is something selective laser sintering, something laser sintering. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Or swing life, or you can join. What is SLS? What does that stand for? Does it say it anywhere? I'm sure somebody. Selective laser sintering, yes. So that's pretty good. Like I said, 0.7. You can go crazy. But I don't think we're gonna make those changes here on stream. I'm probably gonna order one of these for my desk, just personally. Yeah, so I'll probably thicken up some of this off stream, like I said, and then go from there and show you guys what the finished one looks like. I think it'd be pretty boring just to go through here and thicken up some geometry. That doesn't sound like too much fun. When instead we can be sculpting Bambi's dad. Wow, how much fun does that sound? That sounds like the most fun thing we could possibly come up with on this stream. This is as exciting as it gets here, so if you're not impressed, I'm sorry. This is it. All right, let's start getting some of this. This shape is going to be a kind of a difficult one, I'm feeling, from what we've done thus far. So I'm going to spend some more time up here. Obviously, we're going to spend more time on the face than anywhere else, but I do want to eventually get back to our legs, start doing some more stuff back there. Try to get this a little bit more curvy through here. Let's see. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions, I guess, about the dragon print or 3D printing in general. We went over a lot of stuff in yesterday's video, which will be up on my YouTube channel a little bit later today. So if you guys are interested in 3D printing and just how to set up a print, how to set up a 3D file for printing in ZBrush, definitely check that out. Again, that'll be up on my YouTube channel later, I think around 3 o'clock EST. Oh, this shit is gonna kill me. Trying to get this edge to turn a lot faster, and I'm just pinching the hell out of this if we look at this geometry. So, yeah, I'm gonna Dynamesh this here in a moment, but I want to try to push that a little bit further, I think. And this is another reason why I like to stay in Dynamesh for some of the block out stuff, just because I'm using pinching typically quite often, and the more you pinch, the more it warps your topology, the harder it gets to work with. So eventually you have to either remesh or Dynamesh or do something. Let's see here. Try to round this back out. Down through here, this gets a little tough to manipulate. And we're getting there. Stuff takes a long time to do. What's going on? It's Marmot. Thank you for the follow. Alright. So just because that's starting to pinch up and get really messy, I'll run a quick 128 Dynamesh through there. Continue to shape some of this up. Got some kind of secondary little hair floof up there that we'll sculpt in later. I'm trying to avoid any of that kind of stuff. Let's see. I think I want to, kind of like depress in along here so that I can shape up those, I don't know what, thigh meat, front leg meat. Start shaping this up a little bit more. And for now, at least, I'm going to keep most of these legs perfectly straight along the y-axis here, just because it's a little bit easier to work with, and then later on we'll probably start to get a little bit more more curvilicious. I don't know. It's probably just Dynamesh these together, I think. Continue to shape some of this up. Is this elusive? Thank you for the follow. Welcome. Welcome to our Disney Deer stream as we sculpt the Prince of the Forest. I'm just gonna try to get these legs, both of these legs, kind of up to the stage that we've gotten up here. Like I said earlier, I like to keep things moving at the same stage for the entire sculpt. What ends up happening a lot of the time is that you'll sit here and work on your face, or if you're back here just sculpting your leg and you have solo mode turned on, and then an hour passes without you realizing it, and your legs look awesome, and then the rest of your sculpt looks like a butt. So let's try to keep things moving at the same stage here. So I, off the top of my head, don't know if this is representing a joint here. So deer skeleton in 3D. Let's see. I think so. I think this extra bump in the silhouette is representing this initial joint. Not initial joint, I guess, but the second joint there. His legs are much more straight than what we're seeing. This is kind of a cool sketch. That's awesome. All right, so how do we want to do that? What I like to do sometimes is put slices in my mesh to create polygroups. Let's see, where do I want to put this? I'll just put it somewhere here. So I'm putting a quick little segment there. And then when I remesh this, which I'll just do right now, turn on keep groups, set this to whatever resolution we want. It doesn't really matter. We'll just do 0.1. And I'm gonna probably slide these back just so we get a little bit more of the angle that we're seeing in the skeleton here. A little bit more, just based on this part of the silhouette, it looks like we could stand to slide that back a little bit. But yeah, this is those two quick slices that I made will allow me to start to get that little joint buildup that we can see there in our leg. Or you know what, better yet, I'll probably pull in along the outside edges here. If you want to use your scale, by the way, and you have symmetry on, always turn on local sim, because you'll end up scaling. I'll show you here in a minute. If you have local sim on or off when you scale, it'll pull it away from the x-axis, and that's not what you want. Or at least, typically it's not what you want. It's not what I want right now. Exaggerate that a lot right now, and then, let's see, grab that edge up there. Like I said, pull back on that. And then what we're gonna do is delete some edge loops. so that that shape tapers a lot nicer, a lot more nicely. And let's see. What do we want to do down here? Probably just inflate into a sphere. And then I will for sure do a secondary piece of geometry for the hooves. I don't know if I'll do one for the foot though. Let's see. So just maybe leave that for a little bit. Let's focus up here. This is Bambi's dad, or at least I think it's Bambi's dad. It's the Prince of the Forest. It's been a very long time since I've seen Bambi. Does Bambi grow up completely in Bambi? Didn't that movie come out in like 1950 something? When did Bambi come out? Or no, that... I think there was originally a book or something. Is this the actual movie? The 42? Yes, 1942. That's insane. Look at that beautiful resolution. Oh yeah, that's right, I forgot about Thumper. It's been a long time since I've seen Bambi, like I said. I can't remember. Does he grow up? Does Bambi become the Prince of the Forest? It was very old. 1942. It's like I thought it came out in the 50s, but like 42. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Movie's like 80 years old. He grows up at the end. Is he as stoic as his dad, as the Prince of the Forest? So fancy. It almost looks like he's sticking his tongue in his cheek up here. It's like really hard to see because of the resolution. Doesn't it? Doesn't it look like he's going like puffing out his cheek or something here? There's like some weird stuff going on there with his mouth. I'm trying to get these to flow a little bit better into the shape of the body here. And we will be thinning out our legs quite a bit. Something like that. Sure, we'll leave that for now. And then, proportionally, Still feels a little... It feels like awkwardly tall on this slope. I don't know. We'll leave it... We'll leave a good portion of that for now, with the option of changing it later. I think I need to turn this edge a little bit more towards the middle. Way too high of a resolution. That's starting to feel a little bit closer to what I'm seeing though. Like tapers in here towards the front, I think. A lot more than what I originally had. Let's see. Follow that edge back a little bit. There we go. That's starting to feel a little bit better already, even though that's really rough. I think I want to get a little bit more volume there, right? Let's see if I can find a profile of this guy compared to where his legs are. I love how tiny these images are. It's impossible to see anything. Alright, I'll use, I guess this, sure. PT, what's going on? Nice haircut, thanks yo. Stupid photos. Won't let me zoom in. Alright. What we got going on here? Quick remesh. Could go quicker. Alright. There we go. So we got that edge turning a little earlier. And maybe get a little bit more correct here proportionally with our legs. I'm seeing some discrepancies. Let's maybe just change the angle of this a little bit more. And let's look at our back legs for a little bit. We'll mess with these little twigs later. Let's look at these now. now that we've successfully taken them to the next stage. I'm gonna make this a little bit easier on myself by deleting one side so I can get in here in the middle and sculpt on this. And then I'll just mirror it back after I'm done. Alright, let's try to find a little bit of a better angle here for that back leg. Let's see. So kind of leaning forward a little bit more with that pose. It's more of just a triangle there. See if we can find some more images. So these work pretty similar to the front legs where we're gonna need that point there. So 1, 2, 3, and then of course the little ankle and hoof down there, but we'll ignore that for now, much like we did with the front leg. So let's hop on over to the other side. And for this one, I'm going to remesh, much like what I did with the front leg with polygroups. And I'm going to use that to make this shape work a little bit easier for us. Because right now, it's a little tough to manipulate with all this garbage geometry. I'm just trying to round out some quick edges. I think that's fine. And then I'm going to use my slice curve and slice these up again. And we'll do one there. And sure, we'll just do one here. Well, bam. That was actually a fast one. Normally it's so much slower. Alright, try to get this shape a little bit closer to what I'm seeing in some of these other images. Probably want to start turning that a little bit. It looks like the knees are kind of pointing more out. Let's see here. Get that a little bit more in line, I guess, with the rest of our body. It's fine for now. What's going on, Tato? You missed out on the 3D print. I was showing off the uploaded print. I might pull it back up a little bit later so we can check it out again. These legs for days. I think I need to pull this in a little bit. Need to kind of, man, this is getting really messy up here. Let's just delete most of these edge loops. Whoa, except for that one, I guess. It's on a star there, so it's gonna freak out. I guess I'll try beveling this edge. Let's see if that works. Yeah. There we go. And for this back leg, let's see here. Continue to thin that out a little bit more. And I can't really delete the edge loops up here because they're all terrible. So maybe like this. I don't really need to delete that edge though. These edges are all super grody. Can't really do too much though. Keep that a little bit tight, I guess, for now. Step back on this, delete higher. And let's see. Got a weird edge loop turn through here, so let's kind of trim that out a bit. It shouldn't be too much of an issue later once we remesh a lot of this. Volume-wise, I think we're off by quite a bit in a lot of these areas, but at least for now, let's just continue moving forward with our block out. Let's see. And when I blend these, well, I'm probably gonna hold off on like combining a lot of this until much later. But that'll be a lot nicer and easier to blend once we do Dynamesh them all. And I might do that like temporarily to get some of that to blend a little bit better through this area and the front. We'll hold off for now though. Continue with some of these other shapes and then go back up to our face. I also really want to get in a little tail floof here real quick. In a lot of the images that I found for this guy, he doesn't have a tail, like in none of these. This is like, look, in this profile, like there's no tail. No tail for you. It's rare that you find him with an image with a tail. Like here's another one, no tail, no tail, no tail. So this is the only one I have where he's showing his tail, or where they've decided to draw his tail. I don't know if they think the tail makes him look less masculine or what. Maybe they just like the squared off look that he gets from ending here. What is up with my trim brush? It's like super strong. Ugh. I mean, we can still square off his booty and then give him a tail. I think I want to give him a tail. Kind of exaggerating this squared off shape here a little bit more, but that's okay. It's a lot easier to round that out later than it is to try to square it back out after. Alright, let's try to give him a little tail here. Just duplicate, give us a base mesh to insert a sphere on. Grab our IMM, insert sphere, drop a sphere, and then we'll just shape this up. Scale-wise, maybe a little bit larger. And I'll just play with the actual shape here some more. They're mainly just triangles, right? I guess. Black-tailed deer, that's a little bit different. Showing his bee-hole here. Oh, these are cool. I like the floofy ones. Yeah, so basically just a tapered shape. I was looking for some silhouette. Yeah. Alright. Get back here. Bring that more to a point. Whoa. Oh no. I've been sneezing a lot. I don't really have any allergies though. The cold. Let's see. So I'm also trying to work on where that transition needs to happen for that shape flowing up into the neck. He's a little like thrusted forward here, so I don't want to use that as my main reference. It looks like the flat of his back follows up a little bit closer in some of these images. In this one though, it definitely does seem to go back pretty far. Let's attempt to slide this edge forward and see how that affects the silhouette. I think I'd be fine with sliding that forward a little bit, maybe. I'd also, I think, want to straighten him out a little bit more. He's got like a pretty strong angle going on here. So let's hop into T-pose. Just to start squaring him out a bit here, a bit more. Could maybe thicken up a lot of this as well. Feeling a little bit better to me. We'll play with that more later though. Alright, so I'm going to use the same technique that I've been using on the legs to essentially clean up our form here. And this isn't a super clean slice, but that's okay. ZRemesh will do its thing and really simplify this, or at least it should. Alright, let's use our delete edge loop function here to simplify that curve. And what's going on here? That's weird. Alright, cool. Okay. That didn't do exactly what I wanted to the topology, but that's okay. It's close enough, I think. I'll play with that a little bit more after we do some more stuff to our face. But first, let me delete some of this. And let's see here. Can definitely make the face wider or thicker, top to bottom wise. I think I could start to pull in some more along the nose as we're coming down and get the plane of his eyes facing forward a little bit more. Which isn't exactly accurate to what we would see in a real deer, but this is not a real deer. And I think that from the side, I think the silhouette around the eyes could be planed out a lot better. So let's do those few things. And I think this is actually a better image for the face, a lot better. I like that nose a lot. That's a really cool shape. These ears are so messed up. Alright, I'm gonna use this guy here. Keep him off screen. Let's see. Benbow, waiting for something to go wrong so I can say, oh dear. Oh man, the puns. I cannot escape them. Stream is only 1080p by 60. Feels bad, can't switch it to 720p, but only happens on your channel. Well, that's because I am not a Twitch partner. From what I've heard, you have to be a Twitch partner to have those options. If you are not a Twitch partner, they don't give you as many resources. So I'm sure it's pretty stressful on their servers to be able to like re-encode that from my stream. So I unfortunately have it set to 1080p, so it's only on that. I don't have any dropped frames right now. I don't have any warnings, so hopefully it's not lagging or anything. I'm gonna go grab a drink real fast. I'll be back in like 2 seconds. Grab me my Energy Co. I meant to grab this earlier, and I forgot. Okay, so lots of changes that we want to make around our derpy little head here, but you know, all in good time. Like I said, this stuff takes a long time to do. And so far, we've gotten some decent shapes going on here. Yeah, I didn't know that either until someone pointed it out to me on stream like a month ago. But it makes sense, right? Like they wouldn't want to give everybody that option. When it's on YouTube or something and it's a, thank you, Tato, for the follow. But when it's on like YouTube or something, you know, it's already encoded. So of course you can just change that. But when it's being live streamed on the fly, it makes sense that they wouldn't want to give every single person the resources to do that. Maybe in the future they'll have that ability, but I guess for right now, you should know no. Let's see. Try to pull down a little bit more. Try to get this face shape, at least in the silhouette, a little bit closer. And honestly, kind of try squaring this off a bit more. That didn't really work. That was terrible. Let's do a quick remesh on this guy. You were already a follower and a subscriber. Why did that? Yeah, you are a subscriber. I was gonna say. Unfollow, refollow. It's cool. I get it. It's delayed follow. Alright, so this is starting to feel a little bit closer to what I'm seeing in my reference on the other screen. I'm trying to, if you see that pull down area on the jaw, I'm trying to get a little bit more of that. I think we just kind of need to play with our volumes here some more. And I want to get that kind of more Disney-fied so that we can see the eyes from the front. And also fix a lot of this shape. This is pretty bad right now. And probably just, I don't like this curve at all. I want to square this out. Feels like one of those racing dogs right now. I don't know what type of dog they are. The really lanky ones. I'm sure one of you knows. They have a really weird sounding name, if I remember right. Can't think of exactly what it is. Trying to get like this triangular shape here. I don't know, this is being annoying right now. Greyhound is the correct type of dog. That's not the name I was thinking of, though. I don't know what I was thinking of. It did feel very greyhoundy to me. We're starting to pull away from that, though. A little bit here. Yeah, I think it is Greyhound. I need a little bit more volume up through here. around this. I've kind of pulled this eye shape out a little bit more than I needed to initially here. It's kind of messing me up. That's okay. We will fix it. Fix all the things. Sculpt something that helps you out with one thing but messes you up with something else, and yeah, it's always a balancing act. Just trying to get these planes closer to what I want here. Probably a little bit too much there. That's okay. Let's see. I'm gonna have to fix the jawline transition into the neck as well, because I've kind of pushed that forward quite a bit. Yeah, I'll have to blend that a little bit better, but let's keep going on our head. Try to not worry about it. Right now the head looks like an evil bird. Cacao! Yes. Well, it's well known that you have to sculpt a bird before you can get to a deer. Everybody knows this. Well, at least, you know, the great sculptors of our time all know. First bird. That's how it was. That's how deer were made, you know. First the birds, much like dinosaurs, you know. Dinosaurs, birds, deer. It's the chain of events. So I've started to shift that jawline, I think. Let's look at our neck here. And just start getting some more build up. Build up in the back. I guess I'm just gonna plane this out for now, and then maybe mess with that shape a little bit more later on. Trying to round out the top plane of the nose here, just by getting some extra volume. So that we get a little bit more of that shape there. Starting to work out. And then, let's see, this is a little weird down here. I have to figure out how I want to translate this. I'm going to split this somehow. Probably what I will do is cut off the tip of his nose. Sounds awful. So mean. So probably what I'm gonna do here. Let's see. Let's just do a quick slice through here. And then I'm going to slice this again to create, whoops, to create a top and bottom portion of our mouth. Very messy, but that's okay. We'll clean them up. And we can get our nose on there. The line back here isn't going to go back quite as far once we sculpt this up some more. I just wanted to get that in place. And then for up here, we'll be remeshing and cleaning this up as well. But let's just take a quick look here at some of our other images. And for our neck, we're going to need some more volume on that floof that comes up through there. And I feel like this gets like really flat through here. If I can trim this. This is all dynameshed right now. I'm going to remesh this here in a moment. But if I can change that plane a little bit faster, it's going to feel a lot more rounded. Right now it feels very, very flat. So let's do this. Let's grab a mask lasso and pull this all the way through. Control W, which will polygroup whatever we have masked, but let's clean up that curve just a little bit more. Doesn't need to be perfect, just needs to be close. And then we'll Z-remesh, keep groups. 0.1 is what we'll try first. We'll see how that does. Might be too low. I don't know though. We will find out. Actually looks pretty good in terms of poly count. Just a little bit easier to manipulate now with these low res pieces. I'm gonna try deleting these edge loops as it gets really tight through here. Delete edge loop, delete edge loop. That changes the silhouette maybe a little bit more than I want. That does not do anything. Cool. So it's always easier to manipulate a 3D object the less polygons you have. I shouldn't say always, but you know, most of the time it's going to be a lot easier. And that is where I'm starting to want that edge to turn there. So I mentioned I wanted it to not feel quite as flat up here. It was feeling really just awkward. So getting that to wrap a little bit better is one of my goals here. And to do that, I'm going to try, let's see, deleting that. And you can see that there's like this noticeable plane change right here, that highlight. So if we can maybe even out these polys a little bit more with our smooth brush, just to get those to go the other direction there. I could also manually move these and just like push and pull the points around. What the smooth brush is doing though is it's trying to like average out the surface there a little bit. So that's actually starting to work. Here I think we could get a little bit more towards that edge outside. Waka, or M-Waka Gaming, thank you for the follow. What's going on? Waka Waka. Alright. So I think that's feeling a lot better. There's maybe some areas here where it could use some more cleanup, but other than that, I think that's feeling pretty good now. This looks great. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. We kind of just started. Still in the really early stages for block out. This sleeve is like super tight. Pulling on my arms. My arm hair's out. Ugh. Alright. Let's make this a little bit wider. Probably make the body wider up top as well. And let's see. I guess we'll take another look here at our dragon in a moment, since we got a lot more people in here. Let's just do that now, I guess. So, if you've been following along with the other streams, oh, he's really tiny. If you've been following along with the other streams, we've been working on a quick little dragon bust here, which has been a lot of fun to play around with. We just finished this yesterday, and I set it up for 3D printing. And I had mentioned, if you guys are interested in 3D printing, this video will be up on my YouTube channel here in a little bit today. But yeah, we went over a lot of different stuff with 3D printing, but during that time I mentioned that we would probably run into some issues with our teeth and some of the thickness around the fin up here in the back. And I just wanted to show you guys the file for that since I uploaded it to Shapeways, just so you could see where we're getting some of those wall thickness issues. See, this is very bright on my face, but really quick here, all those red areas are some warnings. So just to like finalize that little area there, we would probably want to thicken up some of these points. But I just wanted to show that off for you guys real quick because I know that I was talking about that yesterday and we never got to the point where we could upload that. If you guys are working on your own stuff though, and you're wanting to set that up for 3D printing, definitely check out that video. Again, that'll be up on my YouTubes later today. But I had a lot of fun working on this. I don't know if you guys learned anything new during this process. I hope so. Yeah, he's cool. It was fun to work on. The original concept was by Taylor Fisher over on ArtStation. By the way, if you guys are looking for some cool artists to follow, go check out some more of his work. I might do a clay render of this in Keyshot or something a little bit later. Let's get back to our Prince of the Forest. Again, we're still in those, we're not dragon level yet, right? It sounds like I'm talking about One Punch Man disaster level dragon. We're still in these really early stages of our block out, but this is, some people say this is the fun part. In my opinion, it's not. It's the hard part. This is like the point that requires the most amount of concentration for myself, and just it's the most mentally taxing part. Very difficult. We'll continue on here though. I think I was mentioning that I wanted to maybe thicken up the body as we taper up here a little bit more. Yeah, it's just a little bit more narrow than what I want through here, and then we'll go back to the face here in a moment and try to do a lot more with our face. I should also mention that our stream today will probably be a little bit shorter, so we probably won't be going like 4.5 hours today. We'll probably do a little bit less than that because I'm going to be streaming on the Pixologic ZBrush channel tonight. Well, tonight for my time. If you guys are around, I'll be on there at 6 p.m. Eastern US time, which is -5 Greenwich Mean Time. That's how people from Greenwich say Greenwich. Greenwich. Kind of like hurts my mouth to say it like that. All right, let's try to widen this out more. That's feeling a little bit closer to what I was imagining there. Why can't I select that? There we go. Just being dumb. For the silhouette, I don't know. I don't know if I want that much curve in the back of the neck. Kind of want to maybe just thicken the entire area. I think maybe it's too far back as well. Some of my other images over here. I guess it depends on what kind of final pose we go for, but I think we could pull that neck forward more, right? I think so. Let's try it. I think I did this a little bit earlier. I'll try to do it again. Turn off the perspective. And let's see. So I'm going to mask off everything that I want to move and then invert that mask. It's important to do that when you have other stuff selected, because what ends up happening is if you invert it before you unhide, your masks end up being backwards. And that's no fun. Alright. We're going to be messing with this silhouette a lot as we progress. There's going to be a lot of back and forth here, I know. But I want to try to get this as close as I can at each stage of this process. And as we get more geometry in here and start shaping up things a little bit more, it'll become more obvious where we need to make some of these larger changes to our silhouette. But I think that's not going to happen too fast here. It'll happen a little bit more as we start to get in our hooves and all these secondary shapes through here, and probably our antlers as well. What is the difference between an antler and a horn? Antlers, I think they're the same material, aren't they? Isn't it like hard cartilage? Isn't it like the same stuff your fingernails and hair is made out of? Is cartilage the right word? Can't remember. Somebody that's got Google open. What are horns and antlers made out of? And also, what is the difference between a horn and an antler? These are important questions that I must know the answer to. I'll be lying in bed at night and I'll have like some stupid question like that, and I cannot fall asleep until I go look it up. I'm like, I need to know. What is this word that I'm thinking of that I cannot? It's like right on the tip of my tongue. Tip of the tongue syndrome is the worst. I think that's jamais vu, right? One of the vus. Déjà vu, jamais vu, and sacré vu. I can't remember what the third one is. Keratin. Keratin. I was gonna say, I knew it was something like that. I was thinking, I wanted to say calcium. I was like, no, not. It sounds very similar. But isn't keratin, is that what your fingernails are made out of? I thought it was all the same material. Not cartilage, but keratin. That's like the difference between horns and antlers. I feel like it's probably something stupid, like the difference between hair and fur. I don't know if you guys know that one, or have ever heard that one. If I remember right, I think the difference between hair and fur, how we classify it, is fur has multiple strands of hair per follicle, while hair only has one hair per follicle. I believe that is one of the identifiers. The fastest Google searcher. Fastest Google fingers in the West. That goes to Gliffy. Antlers are shed every year. That's the difference. Deer do shed their antlers, which is the most bizarre thing in the world to me. I remember when I learned that a lot of people on my mom's side of the family hunt deer, and I feel like with all the woods we have around this area, I feel like I'd just be finding deer antlers all the freaking time. Like I feel like I should just be stumbling upon them in the little area where I grew up. We used to have deer, no joke, sleep in our front yard and our driveway, like all the time. Like 10 deer, like every other night. It was crazy. We had such a bad deer problem in this area that they eventually had to start culling the deer to to decrease the population. There are just too many. They were really docile too. Like if you were driving, they would just sit out in the road and hang out, look at you, walk up to your car. If you were going for a jog or anything, you could just run right past them and they just stare at you. Like, because of that, like, because of all that, I hate deer now. They're like the dumbest animals. They're so annoying. Most deer, I think, in other places are not that docile. I know there's like some place in Japan where you can like get deer to eat out of your hand or something. There's like it's not an island, is it? There's like also a place with a bunch of monkeys in Japan, and then there's like a rabbit place. What is up with Japan and having all the... I feel like there's like some overlook somewhere in Japan where there's crazy monkeys that you can't bring food to or else they'll attack you. Antlers are generally branching? Maybe that's another difference. Z-Hawk, you had a house fire and your husky passed away? Oh my god. That's so terrible. I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. I hope your house isn't in too bad of shape. That's so sad. Memorial sculpt made of him for your son. A great place if you're... That's really nice of you, though, to already be thinking of doing something like that. That's so sad. Oh my gosh. I love dogs so much too. If I told my sister that, she would cry. Oh my gosh. The ZBrush community Discord down below has a ton of people in it. Has like 2,500 or so people in it. If you post over there, you might be able to find somebody for a memorial sculpt for your husky. That is very sad. That actually happened to a friend of mine last year. Her house burnt down when she wasn't home, and her puppy was inside. That's very, very sad. I'm very sorry to hear that. Hopefully, like I said, the house... I mean, that's crazy, though. How freak accidents like that can just happen. I always have that little voice in the back of my head whenever I leave my home. Did I lock the door? Like, oven is off. Like, just little freak things that can happen like that. Oh man. Now I'm more sad than I was before. Try to make a nose. Cut this up. I think I made this shape too pointy, too triangular. Yes, definitely try to post in there. I think that'll be a good place to look. Just the kitchen. But there's smoke damage throughout the entire house. Yeah, I could see that. He actually caused the fire trying to get food on the stove while we were gone. Oh no. Poor guy. He's just trying to be a dog. Poor pupper. I've heard that, PT, to say something unusual while you're doing something like that. Lock the door. Purple hippopotamus. Next time you guys lock your door, you're going to say purple hippopotamus. I know it. Then you won't forget. At least that's the idea. I think, so looking at this shape over here, and then this one, I like this shape. They're pretty similar, I guess. This is more squared off than this one, but I think let's change the shape of our muzzle here a little bit more to be a bit more square. Try that out. Been trying it for weeks. It works. Yeah. Something like that, though. You can't really avoid. The stuff that goes wrong is never what you expect. It's a good attitude to have, though. Houses can be rebuilt. Very true. Let's see. Some masking and selecting tips. You do it really fast and efficient. Sure, give me a second here. We'll look at that for a moment. His mouth shape is just different there. Kind of annoying. Q Chromonite, thank you for the follow. And welcome to the stream. We're gonna look at some masking and selection tips in just a moment. All right. So I'll just do this on. I'll do this on the little head shape up here since it's a little bit more complex than some of the rest of this. So let me delete some of this too. So I guess the first thing that I would say for masking and selection, I like to use the select. That's not the right brush. I like to use the Select Lasso and the Mask Lasso. Both are pretty good at doing some quick selections, and then you can use other brushes for cleaning up those selections. In general, the Select Lasso, though, is pretty good. To switch your selection or masking brushes, hold Control and Shift to do your selection, and just come up here and click up here and find a different selection or slice or clip brush. Play around with all of them. You'll find out what works and what doesn't for your own stuff. Masking, just hold down the control key like you're masking, click up here and select a different mask brush. All right, and then I guess the other big thing that I would say is that if you're masking something from your profile or from a side that shares symmetry with the other side, always turn off perspective. And the reason you do that is because with perspective off, if I want to mask around this line here, I mask that off, great, but if perspective's on and I mask around that line, it's going to offset it. And the reason that's being offset is because with perspective on, the mesh is actually, if I start to move this around on my canvas, you can maybe see how, it's kind of hard to explain, but if perspective is off, if it's an orthographic view, it's perfectly straight across, but with perspective on, it starts to get skewed a little bit. So it's actually masking off something else that isn't orthographically opposite to it. So turn off perspective. And then with your mask brush, just learn the hotkeys. You know, Control is to do your masking, Control and Alt is to unmask a shape. If you're using the mask lasso, you can create some pretty complex shapes, but you can also create straight lines. So if you're trying to do a quick selection like that, you can just start, you know, with a positive stroke and a negative, and then create something fairly complex pretty quick. Same with the selection tools. Control and Shift is to do a selection. Control and Shift and holding Alt is to do a negative selection. You can create straights and curves with the selection lasso, which is why I tend to use that a little bit more than some of the other tools. If you're doing a mask, and let's say you want to mask around this little eye shape that I have here, start to make it, and then after you're done making it, you can maybe hold Control and Alt to start fixing and cleaning up some of these areas. But if it's not perfect, you can switch over to your mask pen brush and then start, you know, cleaning up some of the selection with maybe something that's a little bit better for some of these tight areas. And get in here and clean that up. And voila, you got a selection. Again, I like to use these select lassos a lot. They're pretty nice. Good stuff, good stuff. And, I don't know, that's really about it. Just learn the hotkeys, I think. Control tapping inverts your mask. Control clicking and dragging clears your mask. With the selection brush, it's the opposite of that. Control Shift clicking unhides everything, and then Control Shift clicking and dragging flips or inverts your selection. Also, another tip for using selection brushes in general, always turn on double. That's down in your display properties. Just toggle double. It allows you to see backside facing polys. If you don't know what that means, it's just the opposite side of your polygon. So this would be considered the normal of the polygon. That's the way the normal is facing. A normal is just telling the software how to render the 3D object, essentially. But if you turn on double, it's like saying, don't forget, like, we can render the other side of these polygons as well. So it's just helpful to always have that on. So I pretty much turn that on for everything. You will have to turn that on for every single object, though. It's off by default. So you'll have to go through. That's why I keep it in my hotkey menu here. It just makes it a little bit easier to get to, a little bit faster. But that's really about it. I mean, other than that, I don't know. Just practice with them. Use them a lot. Try out the lasso selection and masking brushes. I think you'll find that they're a lot nicer to work with, in my opinion, at least. I don't like this silhouetted shape here on the cheeks. Kind of want to change the way that plane is flowing here. I'm not exactly sure how I want to do that, but we'll get in there and play with that some more. I'm gonna insert a quick eyeball in here. just to have this positionally where we need it. It'll look a little weird without any lids or supporting geometry around there, but I just want to get it in place. We're moving closer to deer though, so that's good, I guess. Do an exercise only for that? Yeah. What I would do is just, you know, very quickly sculpt up something with Dynamesh that's maybe a little complicated, something like this. Or even grab an old 3D model that you have. Like, something like this is something that we just did, right? So if I wanted to practice masking and selection, let's say I wanted to select all these scales that I have here on the back, that would probably be a really good idea. So let's just start with a really quick negative selection and cut through here. This model's asymmetric, so it turns out that I'm cutting through some of these over here, so I'll have to invert my selection and then, you know, fix some of this. It kind of depends on what I'm trying to select, but sometimes I'll use selection brushes, sometimes I'll use masking. Like I said, it just kind of depends. But one thing that you can do while you're selecting is you can just Control Tap, and that'll mask everything that you have visible. And then you can unhide everything. And now instead of using your selection tool, you can switch over to your mask paintbrush and start cleaning up that little selection that you started. And now you have it all masked off. Let's say we're done masking our scales here, right? Which we're not, but let's just say we are. What I would recommend doing is pressing Control W. What Control W does is it polygroups whatever you have masked. And then it's really easy for you later on, after you can continue making more masks or more selections, and it doesn't matter. It's not going to mess up your polygroup. You can just come back and Control-Shift-click your polygroup and get back to exactly where you were. So polygroups are nice to set up. I don't have any set up on this, but I do have some set up on some older files. I merged all this together, so I got rid of all of them. But on something like this, I will have separate polygroups for different areas. Like, I've polygrouped around the edges here for the legs, specifically for ZRemesher, because I used ZRemesh with keep groups turned on down here. So I use polygroups for that. But for the most part, polygroups are just used for selection, quick selections of areas. So if I just want to work on this area, I can quick select that and blah, blah, blah. You guys get it. You're smart. Blah, blah, blah. That's how all my education lessons end. Blah, blah, blah. You're smart. Figure it out. I don't like this area very much. I want to change that. Kind of pull in, maybe make that a lot more narrow. Feels very yeah, I think pulling in there feels very llama-y right now. Pulling in there and just helping the eyes to be able to see, be seen from the front view here. I think that'll help a lot. And then probably just planing that out. It starts to get a little bit of a negative cavity in there, it looks like. Kind of hard to tell right now. I'm gonna remesh this so it's easier to work with. Yeah, I was gonna use that polygroup, but I don't think it's necessary. We can also do some antlers, I guess. We'll do that in a minute. Maybe I won't project that. We'll do like 1 or 2. So sometimes when z-remeshing, like what I just did there, the shape actually turns out better by z-remeshing it, and I don't want to project what I had because it just simplifies the form in such a way where it's just a little bit closer to what I was trying to achieve initially there. In this case, it's going to be a little bit of a combination of a few things here. So now that I have these sub-divs, it's a lot easier for me to go through the shape and start cleaning up the surface, which doesn't mean it's going to be the exact shape that I want for this, but it does allow me to get to something a little bit more clean. So I tend to jump back and forth between Z-Remesh and Dynamesh, interchangeably, just kind of depending on what I need. Right now I needed to clean this up and simplify it, so that means it's Z-Remesh time. It'll become more apparent when you need to use each one, the more you do it. Not really an exact time that, you know, oh, it's Dynamesh time, right? It's just like, depends on what you're making, depends on what you're sculpting. I really wanted to change this silhouette here. Maybe it's just too wide in general, and get that bottom edge to turn a little bit. Let's try that. As it flows the neck, I don't want it to feel too horsey here. Let's get some antlers in there next. That'll help us figure out some more stuff. Ooh. Alright. And I'm gonna fill out some form through here. Definitely getting too concave from the side there. Oh man. Oh no, that's the worst. When you feel like you gotta sneeze and then it just doesn't come out. Ugh. All right, let's block in where those antlers would be. I'm gonna start off by using a curved tube brush, which is just a really simple tube of geometry that inserts along the curve. And I think the back of the head needs to be wider, which will become more apparent once I get some of this in. Where are the ears? There they are. Alright, so let's start off our curve here. Make this more thin. This is going to be a tough curve to make, so maybe there's a better way to do this. Yeah, I'm just gonna take that, sure. Gonna Dynamesh and remesh it. Clean it up a tad. I actually didn't clean up as much as I wanted it to. Yeah, that's fine. We'll keep that. Alright, so you need to come out a little bit behind the ear. Stealthy Deck Chair, thank you for the follow. Great name. Delete all the edge loops and try to fix this shape, because right now it's all sorts of wonkiness. So I want that to flow out, not nearly as much as it is right now. I just need to clean up this curve a lot. And having a low poly shape to work with is a little bit easier. And I'm not worried about taper or anything else right now, just this main curve. Okay. Trying to get a good feel for this shape. Definitely a little bit too long here. And let's see, let's just inflate this. It's starting to get really thin. And the reason why I'm not working on two of these at once for most of this is because it's really hard to work on something across the x-axis here. So you start to affect the geometry on the other side. So I'm trying not to do that. I just want to visualize it here a little bit, and then maybe try to find a little bit of a better image of our antlers. These look like crab claws or something on this one. Some of these are weird. I don't know where these are from. I just grabbed these off Google Image. So these are like, I don't know. I do like the face shape that we're getting here with that break. Actually, I like some of this stuff that's going on here. Real quick. I like that nice flow there. Coming all the way down. Making that more apparent. I'll try to exaggerate that more. It's find a better image for our antlers though. Kind of like this one. Feels very stoic with the crown. Some of these images are extremely low resolution. So let's try making these maybe not too much taller. I think maybe the angle that his head is pointing down here is throwing off what I'm trying to do. So I think I will make these quite a bit taller. Oops. Just gonna warp these a little bit. That's okay. For those that don't know, this is not an ordinary deer. This is a prince of the forest, guys. This is Bambi's dad. It's been a very long time since I've watched Bambi. And I'm pretty sure, spoiler alert, he dies at the beginning, if I remember right. Or maybe his mom dies at the beginning. Does his mom die at the beginning? I think his mom dies at the beginning. Where's his dad go? They get separated? I need to rewatch Bambi. This is what I am learning from this sculpt. Whoa. That was... What is going on? Okay. Okay. Okay, let's save. Either my pen is broken, or something. Something is very wrong right now. Give me a second here. Let me try to fix this. Save spotlight. What's going on, engine? Alright, I am going to save this. I'm gonna restart ZBrush. And make sure, is my pen, like... Okay, well that sucks. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. I'm gonna try restarting the driver. Got an update, oh no. It's been a while since I've done this actually. I haven't had to do this in a very long time. Hopefully something's not permanently broken. We do have an update, like I said, so that needs to happen. It's like my pen is like permanently stuck down. Trying to pull my nib out. Well, guys, this sucks. Not sure. Hopefully I don't need to restart my machine. But I might have to. Might be cutting this stream shorter than I thought. I'm not sculpting with a mouse. That does not sound like fun. Alright, so let's see. Alright, it looks like it's working now, question mark? Alright, let's try... No, like my pen is... It's like stuck. I don't know why. It's like stuck click down or something. Well, that really sucks. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on. I tried restarting my driver there. Let's see. Well, I did say that today would be a shorter stream because I'm going to be streaming on the Pixologic ZBrush channel tonight. Hopefully I can get my pen figured out by then. Oh my gosh, this really sucks. It's like... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, guys. Ooh, ow. Really strange looking giraffe. Thanks, yo. Alright. Well, I think that's going to be where we cut things short today. But I'll be streaming hopefully tonight, as long as like I said, as long as I can get this thing figured out. I'm going to restart my machine and update my Wacom driver here and see if I can get this figured out. But I will, again, that's tonight on the Pixologic ZBrush channel at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if I can get this worked out, I might be able to jump back on here. But I'll shoot out a tweet or something. If you're just joining us here at the end, I'm experiencing some technical difficulties with my pen, and it's freaking out on me. So we are going to jump on off of here and try to figure that out. But I will shout out really quick here at the end my Gumroad, which I don't think I've shouted out yet. If you're interested in digital sculpting and have no idea where to start, my ZBrush Quick Start course over on my Gumroad, there's a link somewhere down below. You can check that out, or I have some stuff for more intermediate and advanced people as well. I got some mentorships, brushes, materials, base meshes, all sorts of goodies on there. But yeah, this little dragon sculpt is what we were working on yesterday, and we started working on the Prince of the Forest today from Bamberino, and then my pen just started whacking out on me, wacoming out. But yeah, well, I'm gonna restart my computer and hope I can fix this. Hopefully this is not a permanent issue, because that would be very, very depressing. Alright, try to figure this out, and let's see if I can find somebody to shoot a quick raid here. It's very rare that we got some sculpting people online, but I'll try to find somebody real quick, see what we can do. But thank you guys for coming and hanging out. Again, Pixologic ZBrush channel tonight, 6 p.m. EST. I will see you then, and have a great rest of your day. See you guys.